Okay, so welcome to the Excellence in Ag webinar. I know Lynn has applied in the past, and I don't think you have applied, Cassie, right? I don't think you applied. So just a little bit about the Excellence in Ag Award. This award is for members who have an interest in agriculture but do not make a majority of their income from production agriculture risk. So people like you guys are great applicants for this award. We also have people who are in farming, but don't necessarily own anything in production agriculture. So we have herdsmen and people like that who apply too. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen with you. And we're going to go to the Wisconsin Farm Bureau website. If you haven't been to the website yet, you'll need to find the Young Farmer and Agriculturist program. So under programs and events, just find Young Farmers. And then you'll find the YFA contest tab. Maybe. And then you can go ahead and find the Excellence in Ag Award, and that's where we have the new application. So this year again, the form is in an editable PDF, which is good for some people, and some people hate that. So hopefully my suggestion to you would be to open the application, save it onto your computer, and then start filling it out, instead of opening it up, filling it out, and then saving it on your computer. Okay, so open it, save it, then start filling it out. We have several different items listed on the website. First and foremost is the actual application. The second is the president's signature page. So you're going to notice that on the first page of the application, it asks for your county president's signature. And sometimes that's hard to get when you're still filling out the application and you have this cover and you want it to all be together. So we have a separate signature page if you're interested in using that. And then we also have 2 Excellence in Ag samples. I will note that Excellence in Ag sample number 2 was a top 10 American Farm Bureau finalist just a few years ago. So that's a really great example to use as you fill out your application. So we're going to go over just a few tips and tricks and talk about the application section by section. I know that the rules and the first page that talk about the contest is really, really small writing, and there's a lot of it, but some of the important pieces in this application are, number 1, the application is due on July 10th, no later than 4:00 p.m. So we need to have it in hand by July 10th. At that point, we'll collect all the applications and then send them out to our panel of judges. Once the panel of judges reviews them, we will take the top 4 scores from the applications, and then those people will prepare a 20-minute presentation that will be given at the WFBF YFA conference in December. The application is judged on a few different things. Questions 2 through 4. We'll take a look at those in just a little bit. Your Farm Bureau experience and other leadership experience are included in those. When you are filling out the application, it's also important to note, and I think we're pretty lax in it on the state level, but you in no way should use any identifiers when you are filling out the application. For example, if you are talking about your background and what you do, and let's say you went to, I know Lynn went to UW-Madison, she would just want to put that she went to a state university. She doesn't want to indicate that it's Wisconsin or in Madison, because that is an identifier, and we don't want to have any identifiers within the application. The first page of the application will be taken off when it's given to judges. So judges in no way, shape, or form will actually be able to determine whose application is whose. from any of the information that we provide to them. Okay. Any questions so far? You can just give me a yes or no. No? Okay. Okay, so the first page of the application is pretty cut and dry. Your name, your address, your email, all of that. And here's where that county president's signature comes into play as well. This is just their agreement that if you are a finalist in Excellence in Ag, that they would agree to pay $250 for you to participate in the DC fly-in. And so that is an important part, and we keep track of those and pull them out when it comes to DC fly-in time. So this is where it starts, where we don't want you to include any of those personal identifiers. It even says it in the note. Remember, no state-specific identifiers. And use A1 and A2 when referring to applicants. That's for people who are applying as a couple. So if you're applying for this award as an individual, you do not need to indicate A1 or A2, but if you are applying as a couple, you will need to indicate whether it's for applicant 1 or applicant number 2. So the first page, pretty self-explanatory, your personal background, tell us a little bit about you, your family, your education, your personal interests, and then number 2, your agricultural involvement. As we go throughout the application, you'll also notice that there's a lot of space. My recommendation for you is to be as specific as possible and share as much information as possible with not dragging it on too much and adding too much fluff, but really bringing out every single attribute that you have to offer that has got to you where you are at this point in your life. So please explain your occupation, everything that you do in your job, explain to us. It's also important to note that our judges, they are familiar with agriculture, and most of them work in agriculture, but some of them might not be familiar with your area of agriculture. And so, if we have a dairy farmer who's judging this vegetable application, it's important to kind of note and make sure that everybody can understand what they're reading in your application. Okay. Continuing with the second part, please explain your personal involvement in agriculture and agribusiness, whether it's your job or what you do outside of work, your volunteer experience, maybe with your local land conservation office or 4-H or FFA. So please, in letter B, explain your personal involvement in agriculture and agribusiness. And then this is where it becomes important to be really, really specific. What do you do to positively promote and impact the agriculture industry? Provide specific examples here. It's really easy to talk about, I am a strong advocate for agriculture on social media. Well, that's kind of a broad statement, and it doesn't really tell me exactly what you're doing to positively influence agriculture. I just saw the cat in the background, Cassie. So it's really important to be super specific in these sections. So what are you doing to positively promote the agriculture industry? And so whether it is social media or anything that you do that is promoting agriculture, this is a great place to put that. And in section 4, please list and explain 3 important issues that agriculture needs to address in the next 5 years. So when our judges are looking at applications, remember that they're looking at everybody's applications. So if we have 15 people that put the top 3 issues in agriculture are, number 1, a diversified workforce, number 2, a shortage of workers, and number 3, women in agriculture. if 12 of the 15 applicants put that, everybody's kind of sounds the same. So really thinking about what are some unique and specialized things that are important issues in agriculture that can be addressed in the next 5 years. And you're going to notice that this is an entire page right here. And so do your best to fill up that page. It's great to see when people can identify the issue and then expand upon it and why that issue needs to be addressed. Okay. And then continuing in section 4, choose one of the issues and discuss how you personally have addressed or can address the issue. And this again comes down to being very, very specific. It would not even be a bad thing in this section to talk about goals that you have in addressing this issue and a timeline. We're going to talk about goals in just a little bit too, but remember that goals are SMART goals. So they are specific, measurable, attainable, right? Realistic, and timely. And so when we talk about goals, it's important to have that in mind as well. So don't be afraid to include those in this section too. Which leads me to the next section of goals. What goals does the applicant have in the next 5 years related to your career, Farm Bureau involvement, and then involvement in other organizations? And so I would break this page up into those 3 different sections. So your goals, career, Farm Bureau, and involvement in other organizations. I'm going to go back and show you on this sample application. Right here. So these are the goals that in the sample application that this applicant used. Notice that they gave a timeline. So by August 1st, 2019, they've developed a track for the current program at the technical college that they work at and how they are going to see that come to fruition. So these goals are very, very specific and they're timely, and they talk about when something will be accomplished and how it's going to be accomplished. My recommendation for you would be to be as specific as this sample is on your application, because it's easy to say, well, you two are both in the Institute, but participate in the Leadership Institute. It's easy to say to do that, but do you have a deadline of when you want to do that by, and how will that actually help you in your goals, whether it be in your career, in Farm Bureau, or in other organizations? So remember to make those as specific as possible using SMART goals. And I think that will help a lot of people who are applying in this section do a little bit better when coming to their goals. Any questions so far? No? Okay. And then the next 2 pages are actually pretty cut and dry. It's just listing your leadership experience. The first page is Farm Bureau experience. So anything in A, Farm Bureau leadership roles, involvement opportunities, recognitions, and/or awards. Please list anything that you think is pertinent in this spot. This does not include any state or national programs that you might have been a part of. So if you are on the Dairy Breakfast Parking Committee, if you are on your county social media committee, or you maintain some of your county's social media accounts, all of that information is important and should be included in this section. So I think a lot of people don't give themselves enough credit for the things that they do and that they work on. And this is an opportunity for all of you to put all of that information down on paper. And once you fill out the application once, it's going to be really easy to fill it out again, because you're just simply going to update it and tweak it a little from year to year as we go forward. So the first section right here is just local county farm bureau activities. And then the second section is for the state and national activities. So Cassie, I know you've gone on the DC fly-in. That would be an opportunity for you to include that in that section there. Lynn, have you gone on the fly-in or been a part of that?
I went to DC with the Institute class, but I don't know if that counts.
So
No?
the Institute is a state program, so you can include the Institute in that section there. So think about some of those things that you've participated in. And then the same for the next page too. However, this is for other leadership roles that you've had as it pertains to organizations like 4-H, or if you've been on the FFA alumni. All of that information is included in this section. So the top part is actually the agricultural things that you've been a part of, and then the bottom is other community and non-agricultural leadership roles. So churches or service clubs, the Lions Club, Rotary, Toastmasters, anything that you might have been a part of would be included in that section. Think of as many things as possible. If you've done it, you should maybe include it on this part of the application, because you really want to highlight and showcase your involvement in your community, not only within agriculture, but outside of agriculture too. Okay. So I'm just gonna show you quick again the sample that I provided. This is actually sample number 2. And you'll see the issues facing agriculture here, where you need to identify those 3 issues and make it easy for the judge. So if you notice here, they pointed out 1, 2, 3. That lets me know, yes, they've identified 3 things, and now I'm just going to read through each of those things. Remember to be as specific as possible when you are filling that out, and be unique. What's going to make you stand out from the rest of the 15 to 20 other applications that I'm going to be reading when I actually sit down and read these? Okay, it's a lot of work for our judges, but I know that they appreciate all of the work that you put into all of those. Okay. You'll also notice on this application that they filled up most of the space, and it's really neat and seems to be easy to read. And so that is one of the things that you want to strive for too. I would recommend printing off your application and emailing it to a friend to have them read it. I know when I have been working on applications for a while, the words just kind of blend together sometimes, and I think it sounds great, but then I have someone else read it and it doesn't sound as great as maybe I thought, because maybe I'd been staring at it for too long. So don't be afraid to share your application with friends and have them take a look at it and let them read over what you are putting into your application. And spelling and grammar are also really, really important too. So make sure that you go through, if you need to put your words into a Word document and do a spell check, please do that. But I think you are able to do a spell check in this editable form that we have available for you. So that is what I have for you in providing this sample. I think will help a lot. And you can see on the sample application, you're going to notice that there's a different format than the current application, and that's because we are making our application as close to the American Farm Bureau application as possible, because once the winner is announced, we only have a few days to submit the application to American Farm Bureau. So So the format is a little bit different on the sample application than it is on the application that you will be filling out. So please make that note. And you can see some of the examples that this person included, including some of those things that he was even involved with in college. And he's much older than college now. So that is pretty much all I have for tips and tricks for filling this out. So simply put, be specific, be unique, and remember to use SMART goals when you are completing the section about goals. And I think that your application could do really, really well. I know Derek Orth was going to be on the webinar tonight, but he apparently was unable to make it. So if you want to send your application to him, he serves on the American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee. And he said that he would be more than willing to read over whomever sent him his application or their application. So definitely feel free to do that, and I can get you his contact information if you're interested in doing that. All right. What questions do you guys have?
I guess the one, oh, you can actually see myself again. The one question I would have is avoid using any like town identifiers, county identifiers, just always put like local or like, it doesn't matter where I grew up. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really important because you don't want to include any of those identifiers in there. When you talk about your background and things like that, that you grew up on a dairy farm, I mean, that's perfectly fine. But that you grew up on a dairy farm in, I'm trying to think, Argyle? No.
Yep.
Argyle, yeah. So then you wouldn't include that, just talking about that you grew up on a dairy farm. Great question. Cassie, do you have any questions? No. Okay. If you do have questions when you're filling out your application, definitely feel free to send them my way. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Again, the deadline is July 10th, which is different than in the past. It used to be July 1st, but with the 4th of July, and I think the 1st is on a weekend, maybe. It's going to be July the 10th. So don't forget to get your applications in by that time. And that is all I have. If you guys don't have anything, I will end.